Assalamu alaikum, I'm Aisha and you're watching Samaa News. Here are today's headlines. 4 soldiers have been martyred and at least 15 civilians injured in a suicide attack that targeted a security forces camp in North Waziristan's Boya area. The military's media wing says the attackers rammed an explosives-laden vehicle into the camp's outer wall after failing to breach security. The ISPR says all 4 attackers belonged to a militant group operating from Afghan territory and were neutralized during the operation. Pakistan has strongly condemned India's unilateral suspension of the Indus Waters Treaty, calling it a violation of international law and a grave threat to regional peace. Addressing foreign diplomats in Islamabad, Deputy Prime Minister and Foreign Minister Ishaq Dar warned that India's actions endanger millions of Pakistani lives and livelihoods. Dar said India's unilateral suspension of the treaty is against international law and the Vienna Convention. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres says the scale of human suffering in Gaza breaks his heart, despite famine being pushed back. Citing a new UN food security report, he said more than 1.6 million people face extreme hunger and malnutrition risks. Guterres warned the situation remains fragile and called for full implementation of the ceasefire, more border crossings, and respect for international law. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Kyiv is ready to deepen defence cooperation with Poland, offering expertise in countering Russian drones and sharing battlefield experience. Speaking in Warsaw, along with Polish President Karol Nawrocki, Zelensky said Ukraine knows how to defend against every type of Russian drone and can help protect neighbouring countries, underlining growing regional security cooperation in the face of ongoing Russian threats. Meanwhile, Ukraine has welcomed a €90 billion European Union loan agreed in Brussels, even as EU leaders failed to reach a deal on using frozen Russian assets to finance the support. President Zelensky called the package a major boost to Ukraine's resilience. The bloc opted to borrow funds directly after concerns over legal and financial retaliation, particularly for Belgium, stalled the asset seizure plan. Russia said the lack of agreement showed the risks Europe would have faced. Russian President Vladimir Putin has offered no compromise on his terms for ending the war in Ukraine on Friday, and accused the European Union of attempting daylight robbery of Russian assets. Putin set out the Kremlin's stance on the war in the opening moments of his annual end-of-year press conference, a marathon event that typically runs for some 4 hours. He said he did not see readiness on the Ukrainian side to agree a peace deal, but there were certain signals it was willing to engage in dialogue. Separately, President Putin mocked NATO chief Mark Rutte, questioning his ability to understand the new US national security strategy, which does not describe Russia as an enemy. Responding to Rutte's warning that NATO should prepare for a major war and that Russia could be its next target, Putin said it made no sense when the United States itself was not seeking confrontation. Russian technology companies working on air defense, sensitive electronics, and other defense applications have been targeted in recent weeks by a cyber espionage group using AI-generated decoy documents. According to a cybersecurity analyst, the discovery by cybersecurity firm Intesa shows how AI tools can be easily harnessed for high-stakes operations and offers a rare look at hacking campaigns targeting Russian entities. Britain has imposed sanctions on individuals and organisations it said were linked to violence perpetrated against civilians in Syria, including some who financially supported former President Bashar al-Assad's government. A statement said the government measures were targeted at individuals involved in coastal violence in Syria in March, as well as historic violence committed during the country's civil war. Sharif Osman bin Hadi, a prominent leader of Bangladesh's 2024 student uprising, has died in a Singapore hospital following a targeted assassination attempt. Hadi was considered a potential candidate for the Dhaka 8 constituency in upcoming elections. He was shot in the head on December 12 while travelling in an auto rickshaw in Dhaka by attackers on a motorcycle. He was immediately taken to Dhaka Medical College Hospital, where physicians reported severe brainstem damage. 7 people have been killed in the crash of a Cessna 550 business jet in Statesville, North Carolina, including former NASCAR driver Greg Biffle. The plane crashed at the Statesville Regional Airport in North Carolina. The North Carolina Highway Patrol said it is believed that Biffle and members of his immediate family were among those killed, but because of a severe post-crash fire, a formal confirmation has not been completed. The plane was registered to a company tied to Biffle. The plane was bound for Florida, but soon after takeoff attempted to return to the North Carolina airport in severe weather. The suspect in the mass shooting last weekend at Brown University in the Providence area of Rhode Island, US, is dead. As investigators said, he also killed a Massachusetts Institute of Technology professor 2 days after the rampage at Brown. Officials said the gunman, identified as a Portuguese national, attended Brown University more than 2 decades ago, but his motive remains a mystery. US Attorney Leah Foley in Boston said Valenti was deceased. He had been a PhD student in physics who was familiar with the building where the shooting took place, officials said. And artisans in the Mexican town of Acalman are keeping a centuries-old tradition alive, crafting piñatas by hand ahead of the festive season. From bright paper and glue to careful shaping, each piñata carries cultural and religious meaning, especially during Christmas posadas, where families gather to celebrate, sing, and share a moment of joy passed down through generations. That's all for now. For more updates, visit www.samaa.tv. Thank you for watching Samaa News.